Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the AGI Dawn. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of artificial intelligence. As you know, AI has made significant strides in recent years, but there's still a long way to go before we achieve true artificial general intelligence, AGI. One of the biggest challenges facing AI researchers is spatial reasoning. While LLMs have excelled in text generation, they often struggle to understand and interact with the three-dimensional world. Today, we're going to explore a promising approach that could help bridge this gap. World models.
All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on the future of AI. And this isn't just about the latest app or software update. This is about a potential paradigm shift in how we think about and build AI.
Yeah, absolutely. It really gets to the heart of, can we create AI that truly understands the world the way we do?
Exactly. Because right now everyone's amazed by ChatGPT writing poems and, composing emails. But what about the real deal? Like the three-dimensional world we live in with all its, messiness and unpredictability.
That's the real challenge. And that's where Yann LeCun, Meta's AI chief, comes in. He's recently made some waves suggesting that our current AI, as impressive as it is, might be hitting a wall.
Oh, really? So LeCun's not jumping on the ChatGPT bandwagon?
Not entirely. He argues that large language models, these LLMs everyone's talking about, are basically just really good predictors.
Predictors? How so?
Well, they predict the next word in a sentence, the next pixel in an image, but they don't necessarily understand the underlying reality that those words and images represent.
So it's like they can write a recipe for a cake, but they wouldn't know where to even begin in a kitchen.
Exactly. And LeCun argues that this lack of world understanding, especially spatial reasoning, is a major obstacle to achieving AGI, artificial general intelligence. The kind of AI that can really reason and learn like we do.
So how do we get AI to think beyond just the next word or the next pixel?
Well, that's where world models come in.
World models? Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, this is LeCun's big idea. It's a new AI architecture that's all about simulating how humans understand and interact with the world. And that includes that crucial aspect of spatial reasoning that we were talking about.
So instead of teaching AI to write about a dog catching a frisbee, we'd be teaching it to actually understand what a frisbee is, how it moves through the air, how the dog perceives it.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, LeCun uses this great analogy of cleaning a messy bedroom.
Okay, I can relate to that.
Right. So even young children have this intuitive understanding of how their actions will impact the physical world. They know that picking up clothes and putting them away makes the room cleaner. But current AI, with its limited spatial reasoning, might try to tidy up by stuffing clothes under the bed or throwing them in the air.
That's kind of hilarious, but also a bit terrifying if you think about AI actually operating in the real world.
Right. It really highlights the limitations of where we're at. And this is why LeCun believes that for AI to truly advance to achieve AGI, it needs to develop a much deeper and more nuanced understanding of the world. And that's where world models come in.
Okay, so world models, they sound pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
But how do they actually work? It's not like we can just, shrink down the entire world and stick it inside a computer chip, right?
Well, it's a good question and a huge challenge. LeCun talks about world models as having a few key components.
Like what?
So first, you need a base representation of the world. Like a foundation of knowledge about physics, objects, how they interact.
So kind of like teaching AI the basic rules of the game before it starts playing.
Exactly. And then, on top of that, you have the memory component. Just like our brains store past experiences to guide our actions, world models would need a way to retain information and learn from previous simulations.
Okay, so it starts with the basics and then builds up from experience. Kind of like how we learn, I guess. What else?
Right. The next big thing is objectives. You give the world model a goal, something to strive for.
A purpose. Like a to-do list for AI.
In a way, yeah. It could be anything from, like you said before, cleaning a room to something more complex, like navigating a maze.
So instead of just predicting the next word,
Yeah.
now it's actually driven by a desire to achieve something interesting.
And then finally, you have action planning. This is where it gets really interesting. Using its knowledge of the world, its memories, and the objective you've given it, the world model simulates different actions and predicts their outcomes.
So it's like running mental simulations, testing out different approaches before deciding on the best course of action.
Exactly. It's a pretty sophisticated level of reasoning. And what's fascinating is that LeCun believes this whole process could be driven by something akin to intuition.
Intuition? Wait, you mean like a gut feeling? We're talking about AI here.
Yeah, it sounds strange, but LeCun thinks that world models could learn to make intuitive leaps in judgment based on their accumulated knowledge and experience. Just like, an experienced chess player can look at the board and sort of intuitively grasp the best move without having to consciously calculate every possibility.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. So how close are we to actually building these world models? Is this something we'll see in the next few years, or is it still way off in the future?
Well, LeCun himself is cautiously optimistic. He said that we haven't made huge breakthroughs in building these systems yet.
It's still early days.
Yeah, but he seems to think it's a matter of when, not if.
Okay, so it's not just sci-fi then. This is really something that could become a reality. What are some of the biggest challenges researchers are facing in actually making these world models? What's holding us back from this next AI revolution?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles is what LeCun calls the curse of dimensionality. Basically, the more complex and detailed you make your simulated world, the more variables you have to consider. And that gets computationally very, very expensive.
So it's like trying to simulate the entire universe on your laptop.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to model every single atom, every interaction, every possible outcome. It quickly becomes impossible for even our most powerful computers to handle. So researchers are trying to find clever workarounds, ways to simplify the simulation without losing those essential aspects of reality.
Makes sense.
Huh.
Are there other challenges besides the computational ones?
Oh, absolutely. Another big one is training these models effectively. Remember, they need to learn not just from static data, like text and images, but from actually interacting with their environment.
So it's not enough to just show a world model, a video of a robot arm solving a puzzle. It needs to actually practice solving the puzzle itself, learning from its mistakes.
Exactly. And this is where reinforcement learning comes in. It's a type of machine learning where the AI agent learns through trial and error, receiving rewards for actions that bring it closer to its goal.
So like training a dog with treats.
Kind of, but on a much more complex level. We're talking about teaching an AI to interact with a simulated world that's constantly changing and evolving. It's a massive challenge, but researchers are developing new algorithms and techniques all the time to try and tackle it.
So much potential. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around what this actually looks like in practice. Where could these world models really make a difference?
Oh, the possibilities are huge. Think about robots that could understand and interact with the world as intuitively as we do.
Okay, yeah. Like what kind of applications are we talking about?
We're talking robots that could assist with all sorts of complex tasks. Things that are difficult or dangerous for humans, like surgery, disaster relief, with a level of dexterity and adaptability that's just not possible with current technology.
So from sci-fi to reality. What else?
We'll take autonomous vehicles, for example. With world models, self-driving cars could start navigating really unpredictable situations, like sudden changes in weather, unexpected obstacles, because they would have that human-like understanding of physics and spatial awareness.
No more fender benders. That would be amazing.
Right. And it goes way beyond robotics and transportation. Imagine personalized education systems that can adapt to each student's learning style, provide a truly individual learning experience, or healthcare AI that can diagnose illnesses earlier, develop personalized treatments.
Okay, this is getting kind of mind-blowing, but let's go back to LeCun's initial point. He seems convinced that world models are the key to AGI. But even if we manage to create AI that understands the world like we do, does that automatically mean it's generally intelligent? I mean, are we missing other ingredients here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, there's no easy answer. Some experts think that world models, while crucial, might not be enough for true AGI.
What else would we need then?
Well, they argue that other cognitive abilities that we take for granted, things like consciousness, emotions, creativity, might actually be essential for general intelligence.
So even if an AI can navigate a room or solve a complex equation, it might not be experiencing the world or reflecting on its actions the way we do.
Exactly. And this is where the conversation gets really interesting, because what does it actually mean for AI to be intelligent? Can we even define intelligence in a way that includes both humans and machines?
Those are some seriously deep questions. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of AI, especially when it comes to these world models.
That's what makes it so fascinating, though. It's this constant exploration, this pushing of the boundaries. We're in uncharted territory. It's exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who want to learn more about this, where should they go? What should they be paying attention to?
We'll keep an eye on the research coming out of Meta's AI Lab Fair. They're doing some really cutting-edge work on world models, and definitely check out what other researchers in the field are doing. People like Fei Lei and her team. This field is changing so rapidly that staying curious and informed is essential.
Good advice. Well, this deep dive into world models has been a wild ride. We've gone from the limits of today's AI to the ambitious vision of Yann LeCun and explored how these world models could potentially revolutionize everything from how we drive our cars to how we treat diseases.
It's been a great discussion. And for everyone listening, just remember, the future of AI isn't something that's just going to happen to us. It's something we're building together. So stay curious, stay critical, and let's make sure we're using these powerful technologies for the benefit of humanity.
Well said. That's all we have time for on today's deep dive. But the conversation doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and who knows, maybe one of you listening will be the one to finally crack the code of artificial general intelligence. Until next time.